Karma is an interesting thing. What I find interesting is a lot of people really don't believe in it. Most people do. They don't really understand what it is or how it works, but it's actually pretty simple. The ancients knew that you could not destroy an element. It was impossible. The ancient Mayans knew of this. You could not destroy an element. You could rearrange its molecular disposition, but you could not destroy it, so therefore you've got solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. And these are the four forms of matter that the different elements get transmutated or transformed into. But the bottom line is everything that exists in the world is energy, and it perpetuates itself into different forms of matter. So whatever a person does in their life, just any simple body movement is a form of energy. Words are a form of energy. Thoughts are a form of energy. Whatever goes out from a person is energy, and it aligns itself with the same like energy, and it comes back full circle to its origins. And so whatever is sent out comes back to us in the same way that it was sent out. As the old saying goes, you're going to reap the things that you sow. What goes around comes around. Well, this is called karma. The law of karma says for every good deed that you do, it comes back to you threefold. For every bad deed that you do, it comes back sevenfold. So for me, that's kind of a no-brainer. And I'd rather have the threefold come back to me than just getting beat up 7 times in a row for bad karma. And as I said before, the ancients knew that this was a fact. I love to refer back to the ancient Mayans and how they perceived all of these things, and they wrote it down mathematically, actually. Then there's their calendar, and they had the unlucky days in that calendar and when a person was born, and they believed very heavily in karma. So karma is an energy that exists whether people realize that it exists or not. The Mayans used the skull and bones in many things. What it means mystically, it is the higher mind of man. The Mayans had many use for the skull and its representations, such as at Uxmal in the Yucatan at the Pyramid of Sacred Mysteries. It is over all 4 lintels in the very top, which is, I guess you could call the Holy of Holies, so to speak, or it is the Chamber of Illumination. And the reason it was there was to remind all of those who obtained that illumination or that perfection is not to do anything in this life that they could not atone for that would carry over into the next life, that they could not pay for in this life. So they were very mindful of these things. It's very interesting, the misconcepts of all of these things within the world, but this is the terminology and the way that mystics view these things. And when I say the higher mind of man, the skull represents something very mysterious within itself, just when you look at it. And of course, to a mystic, it is one's own reincarnations that have been and that are to be. The principle of the cosmos regarding reincarnation says that you must incarnate within your bloodlines. So that is to say that if you are Mayan and Spanish, then you can reincarnate in your next reincarnation as a Mayan or as a Spanish. If you're Scandinavian and Italian and English, then, well, there's bloodlines that you can reincarnate into. You choose your incarnation. And whether or not you choose the lesson that you are supposed to learn, well, that's been debated. Whether you choose it or is given to you. And it may be both. I don't know. Do your own thinking on that. But the long and the short of it is you reincarnate back into a bloodline, and the purpose of that is to, again, to be the best that you can be, to raise yourself to a higher level of being, to become one with the soul personality, which is that reincarnation as the being or the soul into a physical person, which is the soul personality or the self. And for the being and the self to eventually come together as one and be a composite being again on the highest level that it can be. So the purpose of it is to get to a point where you do not have to reincarnate anymore. And I think about people like Adolf Hitler. What did he come back as, a cockroach or something? And that's according to the ancient Hindu, and they believe that people of such come back as such, in which it takes millions of years of evolution to just become a rat. So that may or may not be true, but if it's not true, it certainly sounds like it should be. The whole point being is that through evolution, which is a repetition, we find a perfection. Our life goes around in a circle. What we're going to do today is what we did tomorrow, is what we're going to do the next day, if nothing more than eat and sleep and go to the restroom at any given time. We're going to have this repetition, and through that repetition in life here upon the earth, we move up and live in a better house and drive a better car, and if we're wise enough and we save our money and we retire and we're able to enjoy our twilight years. And so many people mistaken what evolution truly is. It's basically anything that is created evolves. Nothing evolves until it's created. That's all there is to it. So there's your argument of evolution and creation is very simple. Until it is created, it's not going to evolve. And so through repetition, we find an evolution of the being, whether it is human or spiritual. And we must follow those bloodlines. And according to what we do in the spirit realm as well as the physical realm, dictates as to how we are going to live, not only in that existence, but in the existence that is going to come before us. Very few people realize that in the spirit realm, there are not so nice places to live, just like in the physical realm. And you're just a real, say, no account person in this life who scams and manipulates and all these things, and you die. Well, in the spirit realm, that's where you have stored up your treasures. That's where you have put the things that are important to you. And so that is the kind of life that you live in that realm. And so it goes around in a repetition between the spiritual and the physical, and your actions on both planes, whether the spiritual or the physical, dictates how you will live on the spiritual and the physical plane. And that's all there is to it. But as I said, don't take my word for any of this. There are plenty of mystical books out there that will enlighten you on all of these things. Matter of fact, I want you to be skeptical. I want you to do your own homework. There's nothing like knowing something for yourself to be a fact, or to be something it's just something that has been made up by other people. So the long and the short of it is, for me personally, is that when I lay my head on my pillow every night to go to sleep, the most important thing to me is knowing that I lay my head down with a clear conscience, knowing that I have not wronged, lied, stolen, cheated, embezzled, or anything else. But as we all are, I'm far from perfect, the rest of the world. But to be conscious of what one does in life, what one transmutates into its physical equivalent, which is transmutation. This is a very hermetic philosophy because it's truly cast in stone. And what I mean by transmutation is the exchange of any mental thought into its physical equivalent. This creates karma. It affects your reincarnation. It affects everything. The most important thing that will happen to a person every day of their life for the rest of their life until the day they die is what they think and how they think about it, because that is what they're going to transmutate into its physical equivalent. Take, for example, a rocking chair, a simple rocking chair. Well, that was conceived as a thought, a picture, a mental picture in someone's mind that he drew out on a piece of paper and he took to some craftsman. He looked at the blueprints and said, well, I can build this, and he did. And that rocking chair was enjoyed for the rest of this person's life, and in a lot of cases handed down as a family heirloom, and 200 years later it's still being used. The point being is it started out as a thought in someone's mind that became a physical thing, and that is transmutation. So, therefore, what a person thinks and the thoughts they allow to be in their mind is going to influence them as to what they do or don't do in life. The human mind can only hold one thought at a time. So why not hold something positive that is productive instead of some negative thing that could end up harming you as well as other people? And so all of these things translates into karma. It is an energy. And whatever goes out from a person comes back to a person the same way. So why not transmutate things on the highest level that we can? And in doing so, it's going to draw us to other people who are like ourselves, that we can have a spiritual association with and receive that inspiration. For there are people that bring inspiration to you, and there's people that take inspiration from you. And I think we've all known people that, boy, it's such a relief when they left, because we just felt like the whole time they were around us, they were a drain of energy. And they were. So I like to be around people who brings me energy, and I like to dispense energy from them. And so you have an exchange of energy that's going back and forth or going full circle between two people. And friendships are developed out of these things, long-lasting friendships. There's someone on the same level that you are.